Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Depression Vacation.
We're here. We're back. It's another week.
It's tired.
Hello.
Everyone's tired. Well, I'm tired, and I speak for everyone, so.
Thank you, Hal. We have a special guest with us here today.
We have a special returning guest coming back for her second time on the podcast. I mean, everybody who's clicked on this probably saw your name in the title already, but do you want to introduce yourself, guest?
Sure. I am also tired. So you were okay to speak for me in that instance. But it's me, Liz Curtis, human being, performer.
Me Liz made me think of like a musical for a second. It's like, it's like Les Mis backwards. Me Liz.
That's awesome. Yo.
So the musical about your life, Liz, has to be called Me Liz.
Me Liz.
I feel like if my life were a musical, it would be like a jukebox musical. But, you know, and those are kind of hit or miss, which is kind of how I see my life at this point.
It could just be What's New Pussycat being played 25 times in a row, so.
I love that idea of it being a jukebox musical, but like not like one artist, just like all the songs that like hit you hardest.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, jukebox musicals, jukebox musicals. I got this. It's fine. I can speak. Like that, everyone said like how good Mamma Mia was. Everybody was really into Mamma Mia, and all the girls my age were like, "Oh, Mamma Mia is like the greatest movie and musical in the entire world." And then I watched
That's
it,
sweet.
And I hated it.
Oh no, Shannon.
Yeah, so that's how I feel about that.
I mean, I was gonna say like calling it the greatest movie ever. I'm like, wow, we're really overestimating everyone's love for ABBA, but it's a fun movie, I think.
It's okay.
I do love ABBA. It's hard. I have seen Mamma Mia. I didn't hate it.
I've heard Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again is not very good at all.
I just feel like it was overhyped for me. Overhyped. That's fine.
That does ruin things sometimes, being overhyped.
Was that the first of those musicals where they like adapted specifically one band's entire?
No. What about when did Jersey Boys come out?
I don't know.
Because that's all the Four Seasons. And
actually, something I want to try to get to see at the Allenbury Theater while it's going is they're doing Beautiful, the Carole King musical, right now, which my mom and sister saw a couple of years ago and said it was one of their favorite musicals ever. And my friend David Payne is in it. So for two reasons, I'm going to try to see that, but my schedule sucks. So who knows if that'll work.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't know what the first, but there's been many, because there's a Billy Joel one, right? Moving Out.
Yeah, Moving Out.
The Green Day one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is the Green Day one, because you're talking about American Idiot, or?
Yeah.
I think I am, yeah.
Yeah, because American Idiot, I would say that's a little bit different because that's just one album that was kind of designed to be a rock opera, as opposed to like including songs from Dookie and, Nimrod.
Well, showing my lack of awareness about.
It's just more of a discussion. Like, would you consider that to be like Shannon, like Mamma Mia,
like a virgin?
Why is there a Madonna musical? And if not,
no,
why
but
is there not?
Should be. I mean, we should write that. No, here's the thing about how I feel about certain musicals. Because here's the thing: when you're talking about American Idiot, you're right. Like that's a self-contained story for one album. But I feel like nowadays everyone who's anyone gets their own like biopic musical.
Yeah.
Like Neil Diamond's got one right now. Yeah. I mean, and I was looking at the Tonys and I was like, when did we get a Neil Diamond musical?
It was already called Saving Silverman. Thank you very much.
Well. And then first of all, I can't wait till I was for sure that when Rocket Man came out that they were going to adapt that to the stage because I loved the film.
It was so good.
It was so good. And it was perfectly curated to be a stage musical. And so I don't know why they just haven't done it yet. But everything's a musical now. Mm-hmm. Back to the Future, the musical is a thing. And I only know that because when I went to see Jersey Boys in London, which is a whole other story, but
was it the West End Theater too?
It was at the West End, yeah.
Ooh.
And the guy who played Frankie Valli was very attractive, so I immediately followed him on Instagram. And
as one does with a Frankie Valli, yeah.
Actually, it was like I didn't really have a visualization of who Frankie Valli is. So like after I saw it, I went to go look up Frankie Valli, and I was like, okay, well, the actor who played him does not look anything like him. But I digress.
Yeah, Frankie Valli was on The Sopranos. I think that's the only thing I've seen him on.
He was on The Sopranos?
Yeah, he played a high-end mobster like at the very end of the show who was only in a couple of episodes because he was Frankie Valli. But I remember looking up who the actors were. I'm like, oh, that's that guy that everybody talks about from the Four Seasons. Much older. So, and with silver Italian hair and indistinguishable from every other mob boss on the show. He gets whacked.
Oh.
Boy, where?
Yeah, what the hell, Hal? No, I'm just kidding.
What the hell?
I love that.
I feel like everybody died on The Sopranos pretty much.
Yeah.
Maybe. We don't 100% know, but...
Liz, what words of wisdom do you bring us today?
Wow, you just mentioned Neil Diamond, and so I would be remiss if I did not say Hell Yeah is probably my favorite Neil Diamond song for some sentimental reasons that I'm not going to go into.
That's okay.
But great song by Neil Diamond. An underappreciated
I'll have to check it out.
bop. I don't know. Bop sounds like you shouldn't say that about
love
like
a bop.
just a nice.
A kid's bop.
It's an emotional bop. Like it's like I'm feeling feels, but maybe
Yeah.
that's just me because it's sentimental. But I don't know. That's what I think of when I think of Neil Diamond.
How dare you feel
No.
feels while listening to good music? Seriously.
Yeah, what the hell? Who does that? No, that's great. I was planning a wedding, so we're talking about, songs that we're going to dance to and things like that, and songs that we're going to do when and all that. And I didn't realize how difficult it is to come up with like the mother-son dance, because there's not a lot of songs out there that aren't like I love you, hold me tight, and all that stuff. So it was a little bit of a challenge. And so the daddy-daughter dance, too, was a struggle at first, but we figured it out. We're going to do Stand By Me.
Well, that's a good one.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good choice.
Yeah, I thought so.
There's a song I talked about last time I was here a lot, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. There's a song on that called I Love My Daughter, but not in a creepy way. So that could be...
I love that.
That could be another option, but Stand By Me is good. Are you doing Stand By Me for the mommy son or daddy daughter?
Daddy-daughter.
Could
No,
be
it's
both.
okay.
It's a pretty ubiquitous
Yeah.
song for anything.
Yeah,
did
it's the father-daughter dance. I don't know why I said daddy-daughter. It sounds like we're going to Girl Scout camp or something. But
I like that.
I like it too.
and then his mom chose Moonlight Serenade. Which was, it doesn't have any lyrics in it, and it was.
Oh, that's fair. I was like,
so.
I can't think of how that song goes, and that's
Yeah.
why.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of turned out okay because Ryan is kind of a jazz man. He plays like trombone and stuff. So Glenn Miller is like, that's all good.
He looks like somebody who would talk your ear off about jazz.
He absolutely would. Yeah.
I don't know exactly where this was. Like, Liz, I assume you've seen I Think You Should Leave.
Yes, I have seen a good number of episodes of that.
I don't know where this was because I went on a huge binge where I just watched all 3 seasons in one night recently. But there was one sketch recently that, like, whatever anybody talks about jazz, I think of now, where it was Tim Heidecker plays like this weird boyfriend at a charades party, and all the people he puts in there are just really obscure jazz musicians.
That sounds hilarious.
Oh, it was so funny. And like
The Colgate Comedy Hour?
Colgate Comedy Hour. He was the voice of the Roadrunner. Come on, guys.
Nice.
That's like that and the Mighty Boosh are like the 2 things I think of when I think of people who like too much jazz.
Is there such a thing? Yes. Yes, there is.
They're very specific to a subsect of people. It's a bop.
Not the yuck yums. Maybe a lot of jazz isn't for everybody, but some people love jazz. Just gonna jazz all over.
I feel like jazz and improv probably have a lot of like carry over, because is that what they do in jazz? They
Yeah,
just like improvise? Okay.
Well, because they say that improv is the jazz of theater, but that does elicit eye rolls from some people sometimes.
See,
I
that's
think
the
it's
thing.
a perfect comparison.
Jazz is interesting because we lump a lot of things under jazz when it's really a much larger genre than what people think it is. I mean, for example, like when people think jazz, they a lot of times think of like Glenn Miller, but like Glenn Miller isn't technically jazz. He's big band swing. So it's weird because like when you think of a jazz sound, you know, you're kind of thinking of more of a specific genre of music than overall jazz. So someone might love improv jazz, which is, you know, totally cool and, you know, has a very rich history, but when they think of big band music, they're like, ew, I don't like it, but it's technically also jazz. So I just feel like it's such a large genre that you can't kind of just say, I hate jazz overall.
See, this is why we really needed Ryan as part of this conversation.
Yeah,
'cause I
but
feel like
he's napping in my back seat.
I know, Ryan is
We left him
sleeping in the car.
like a dog.
I'm glad you said that because I wanted to, but I was like, no, it's rude if I say that and I'm not engaged to him.
It's totally not rude because actually I asked him if he wanted to like put the windows down. He's like, no, it's too hot. Just leave the AC running. And I'm like, I feel like I need to put like a note or something so that somebody doesn't like break my windows. But we're here in the studio.
Like
so.
6 minutes into this podcast, I was like, we should have just invited him to go sleep in the green room.
Well, and I was just saying that we have this lovely cot here. And
oh, he'd never be able to sleep with us talking in here.
Oh,
but,
no, probably not.
Also, I would not touch that cot.
That cot has seen some things.
I don't know where it's been, but it's never been washed. And it's been here since I've been here. So.
And does anyone like regularly use it?
Why is it here?
Okay, so the cot actually owns the studio, and we pay rent to it, so...
Well, then you shouldn't talk ill of it right in front of it.
That's why it has to supervise us in here. Sorry,
It's
Mr.
gonna be like,
Cott.
no more podcasts. That was my mattress.
That was
voice.
really
Your
good.
mattress voice.
It's his accent straight from the land of Matricia.
When you think about it, a rollaway cot actually would be a perfect puppet because you can just make its mouth go, your rent is going up.
I think perfect puppet was misused in this situation because you would need several people to operate a cot as a puppet.
Yeah.
It's not the most convenient puppet I've ever seen.
We talk about puppets a lot on this podcast.
God damn.
Yeah.
You couldn't one-hand that cot. And that's really, to me, the mark of a puppet.
No, that's right.
It would take Jim Henson and 3 operators to get that cot talking.
Exactly. Yeah.
A lot of work for very little payoff.
Did I tell you recently I had Ryan watch Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy for the first time?
Oh, no. That's a kind of meh movie.
First of all, shut your whore mouth.
Oh, wow.
Second of all, I have a lot of sentimental value towards that movie because I saw it first when I was like a little kid and just thought it was the funniest thing I'd ever seen in my life.
Okay. It's not a bad movie by any stretch. It's
I don't know. I get something new out of it every time I watch it, weirdly enough. It holds up. I'm going to just say it does.
There was in the 80s, actually, Dan Aykroyd and I think Harold Ramis were almost going to do Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but the studio gave them a choice. They could do one movie. They could either do that or they could do Ghostbusters, which was this funky little movie they had just written, and they decided to do Ghostbusters instead, and I think they made the right choice.
Well, yeah. I mean, if I had to choose between one movie never existing and it came down to those two films, like obviously I'd choose Ghostbusters.
I'm surprised Hitchhiker's Guide they haven't actually taken another swing at that, or as a TV series since there's lots of source material.
Apparently, I just found this out yesterday talking to my dad. Apparently, they did do an earlier adaptation of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy that I had no idea existed.
I would believe that BBC probably produced something. Yeah,
in 1981 or something.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and so I asked him was it any good? And he goes, well, it had Doctor Who level sci-fi. And then I was like, wait a second. And he goes, no. I mean, 80s Doctor Who level sci-fi.
Yep, that makes sense.
I was like, okay, well, you have to be specific with that kind of thing. Because if you're thinking about 2023 Doctor Who, the production level is a little different.
Yeah, it's so funny because Doctor Who used to be shorthand in the 90s for It was like Dark Shadows. It was like, oh, you're going to see something with funky production values, but has lots of heart. So you're still going to like it.
They got spunk.
Spunk.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Hitchhiker's Guide was it was an okay movie.
They should make a musical out of it.
I would guarantee you there's a musical for Hitchhiker's Guide somewhere in the stratosphere.
Now I have a new homework assignment. Go find the Hitchhiker's Guide to the musical. Anyway.
I mean, Thanks for the Fish would be like the start.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a bop. Mm-hmm. It's a bop, hands down.
That is a bop. I'm going to use that term from now on. It's a bop.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think that some of the young people say bop.
Did
I say it before?
Yeah,
is that what you're
What's up, my fellow kids? Let's listen to a bop.
My fellow youths. I used to say bop all the time. So official young person stamp of approval on that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it very much.
So Liz, one of the reasons we did bring you on is you wanted to talk about something coming up that's near and dear to at least two of our hearts. So
yeah,
I care about it because you care about it.
2.5. Okay.
God damn it.
Yeah, no, it's important to everybody because we're here and humans and listening to each other and being nice. And you tried to cue me to say this, but I
did. I did. I'm a good host.
I didn't even see this at all.
I'm uncueable because then I just... You were like, what do you want to talk about, Liz? And I was like, well, you mentioned Neil Diamond, and my ADHD took me to...
Oh, wow, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So that was what happened. So, however hour long ago that was.
Yeah, 2.5 hours.
But anyway, and look, I did it again.
I don't remember a time where I wasn't in this studio. All right.
We live
check
here
the
now.
minutes, mattress man.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, what I want to talk about is Harrisburg Fringe Festival. Harrisburg's first Fringe Festival, the inaugural Fringe Festival.
And I'm
That's
glad,
fancy
I'm
as
glad
fuck,
you told
dude.
me it was the first one, because you told me that on the car ride over, and I had thought that there was a Fringe last year, but you were saying that was Fringe in a day, right?
Yeah, if you're listening to this and you're like, I thought there was a Fringe last year. Like how? There was not. There was a Fringe in a day, which was a separate sort of festival that was a fundraising endeavor for the Harrisburg's first official Fringe.
And it must have been successful then, so if we're doing a Fringe.
Yeah. I don't have the figures. I don't know how much money we raised or whatever. Fringe is happening this year also in part to the funds raised from Fringe in a Day last year, but mainly the production team, Chris Gibson and Brianna Dow, and another slew of other people, but they're the ones that are closest to me. So, literally, I live with one of them. So
They're literally closest to you.
Yeah. So, and speaking of my roommate, Bree, she also designed and did everything on the website. So check out HBG Fringe
there's a website.
for
Okay.
details. HBGfringe.com.
I've been following the Instagram, but I didn't know there was an official website for it, too.
Yeah, that's where you're going to be able to get your buttons and your tickets. And you can see all the show schedules and see things like stuff I'm going to read here just to find out what the hell even is a Fringe, which you might be asking yourself.
I am asking myself.
Okay, well, here's the mission statement. The Harrisburg Fringe Festival connects adventurous artists, venues, and audiences by empowering artistic expression in a spirit of community celebration. It's inclusive. All art and artists are welcome to submit their work: dance, spoken word, theater, comedy, drag, music, painting, and more. If an artist considers it art, so do we. It's unjured, so that means that it was
No competition then? Or
it wasn't a committee picking it. It was people who got into it based on a lottery system.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't. They're not. They're not censoring. It's also uncensored.
Yay.
It's not up for the Harrisburg Fringe to say what might or may not be suitable for audiences. There are clearly designated categories for kids and families and content warnings, but the participants' art will only be assessed. I did air quotes to accurately quote the website by the audiences they attract.
Yeah.
So you can just go see something you've never seen before. In some cases, that'll never happen again. The like motto, their little slogan, which if you follow the Instagram HBG Fringe, you see that in there. The little logo there is "Do something weird," and that is for the artists and for everybody, like audience members. You know, go out and see something you've never done before. It's going to be all over the place in Harrisburg. There's going to be so much to see and do.
I just saw your notepad. I thought all this was coming from the heart for a second.
Well, I was reading from the website, and I did make some notes last night. It's going to be happening at Gamut, 2 stages at Gamut, 2 stages at Open Stage at the Midtown Cinema.
Yeah.
Right? And Narcisse Theater, which just had its grand opening last Sunday. The reason I'm here talking about the Fringe, my performances, I have 2, and they are going to be at Narcisse as well, which is a fun, beautiful full circle thing because I did a solo show in 2019.
Yeah, I was going to say it was like 3 years ago, I think. So.
Yeah, I think it was 2019.
Oh, that would be 4 years ago. Hal, you can't even math today.
Yeah, 3 years. No, nothing was happening 3 years ago.
Yeah,
it was a
and
lost
I think
year.
it was. Yeah, it was 2019 because it was right before all that went down. And yeah, I did a show produced by them, so I'm just very honored and excited to get to do a show in their new beautiful space. I was at the grand opening last week, and it is just a dope setup. Frank Henley, it's Narcisse's his baby, the old girl he calls Narcisse, has a home, and it's very, very exciting.
Yeah,
So.
I saw a lot of cool pictures from like the space. It looked like there was a nice mural in the back there too. And
Yeah, there's a little courtyard in the back.
At first, I thought you were at
suitable for
0 day
weddings.
for like 2 seconds, and I'm like, it looks like the 0 day court a little bit, but more colorful.
Oh yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, but it just a beautiful little oasis tucked away in Harrisburg. There's so. I'm going to be quoting my friend Amber a lot because she just had made great comments at the grand opening. Because she said of the courtyard in the back that it is suitable for weddings, even though it is an alley. I don't know. There's trash cans and stuff, but people are.
Yeah, you put some
clever.
flowers on that.
Depends
dress
on the
them up.
wedding. Really.
Yeah, just put some hay bales, right? And
Yeah,
then it's whatever.
Something. Tool, I guess.
Somebody I dated last year, like right before we stopped seeing each other, had suggested that we do a bring your own hay bale party at my house. And I'm like, I don't think you understand what the logistics of finding and bringing a hay bale to a party are going to be.
Yeah, just like we want to have hay bales, but we don't want to have to deal with it. So you bring your own.
BYOHB.
It actually made me think of the last episode of The Office where everybody had to like actually get their own hay bale to sit on for the wedding. Speaking of weddings. But yeah, going back to Fringe, because all of us are ADD and somebody has to keep us on track.
Yeah.
Are you one of the organizers too for Fringe, Liz, or are you just a big enthusiast?
I'm a big enthusiast. Check out my Instagram account that I made years ago and never used. At
That's what
I'm
the
like
kids do.
typing it. An enthusiastic friend. I'm using it now just to promote the Fringe, and by that I mean I have made exactly one post because I'm not great at the social medias. But
this account has popped up for me a couple of times over the years, but I've been like, I'm already following a Liz. Seems like a trap.
Well, now it's the name is now changed to the name of my show, which is I shouldn't. It's not. My show is going to be called. It is called. Edit this part out where I'm not talking confidently about my show.
No, there's no editing, except if we include music. Cue the Billy Joel song that's going to get flagged by.
I'm just gonna go boop 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 boop. My show's called. It was Alphabet.
That's cute.
Thank you. It is, and it's gonna be happening at Narcisse. Like I said, Friday, July 7th at 6:50 p.m. and then Saturday, July 8th, the following day at 1:20 p.m.
Woo!
So those are when my performances are. Again, at Narcisse with Alphabet. That's what I'm working on.
So everybody go
popping around the old noggin.
Yeah, you can kill two birds with one stone here because you can see Liz's show there, and you can also support the Narcisse Theater as they've just opened. So a lot of very high quality stuff. Quiety, I almost said. Mixing
there might be some quiet stuff. The Mimax, that would be welcome at the Fringe.
The Fringe too. I wanted to point out because I kind of had forgotten this until we were talking about it, but the integration was the wrong word. The awareness of it is way beyond just the Harrisburg community because actually my old boss at WITF I ran into in the hall a couple of days ago, Fred Vidjam, and he mentioned that his brother who is doing a one-man show at the Fringe Festival, which is a show he generally performs around San Diego, Los Angeles, where he lives in San Francisco. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool because he was asking me if I was doing anything for Fringe. And I mentioned our film project, which is really the only thing I was involved with Fringe this time around. But I thought it was pretty cool. I'm like, oh, somebody from way far away heard of the Harrisburg Fringe and wanted to do their show here. That's cool.
Yeah, there are Fringe is not exclusive to Harrisburg. They're all over the world. The most famous one is in Edinburgh, Scotland, of course. Chris Gibson, one of the co-producers of Harrisburg's Fringe, was heavily involved, maybe helped form, and I'm not remembering details, but with the Miami Fringe.
Oh, very cool.
So yeah, they're all over the place. And ours, I learned, is it's the Canadian style, which is because fringes can vary a little bit from city to city, per my understanding. But the Canadian style that ours is similar to is that unjurred, uncensored, and all-inclusive style. So there's rules vary at different ones, but ours is that way.
I think unjurred is an interesting way to go too, because that way, statistically speaking, pretty much everybody will get a chance to do something, and there's no bad feelings if it was just by a lottery system. So I really like that idea as far as having a festival goes, especially for an art festival, because there was my mom worked in because she was the art curator for the State Museum, so she worked in a lot of these art contests all the time, and she said that half the time a lot of things that made it in she didn't want in there anyway, and she didn't know how people the point I'm making is that she's you can never trust an art contest because it's the most subjective thing in the world.
Yeah.
I got a little off track there, but I've always thought about that. Every time I got rejected from a film festival or a screenplay or something didn't make it to the next round, Barb Kramer's words, Hal, it's just an art contest. It's the most subjective thing in the world.
Yeah, Ryan submitted to a writing competition a few months back, and he didn't place, and he was really upset about it. And I was like, you recognize that was probably decided by 1 to 3 people who read your work, and everyone has their own tastes. Imagine if 3, I don't know, goodness, I didn't think far and haven't had enough into this part of it. What if, damn it. What if 3 veterinarians were the ones that they had? I don't know, that they had just reading your work.
Sorry, I've got to spay this cat and read.
What do they know about? What do they know about good literature? We're just imagine that the 3 people who were judging this contest were I don't know, abusers. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it could even be what if they didn't have their coffee that morning? The million variables that also go into your opinion and stuff. So
right, exactly.
I see your point, but my God, I hope we don't have veterinarians judging any writing contest.
This has been because assembling judges for Vidjam competitions has weirdly become one of my tasks. There have been a couple of very vocal idiots, shall we say, who have complained mightily about the judges occasionally at Vidjam, and they always have a film or art background. They're not always necessarily filmmakers, but they're at least artsy or art adjacent.
They know good stuff.
Oh my God, there was one guy who, I'm not going to say his name, but he's not welcome to judge any more Vidjam competitions, like got into a fight with 3 of the other judges at a particular Vidjam because he said that our judging was unprofessional, and if we ever wanted a film community to sprout out around us, we needed to get people with more industry experience. And I'm like, dude, we just promote people making movies with their phones in central Pennsylvania. Like,
Yeah.
go back to the Toronto Film Festival or wherever.
Wherever official dagnabbit you came from. I don't know.
Do I know the person?
I don't think you do, actually.
I was getting all fired up imagining people, so okay, I'm gonna calm down now.
No, like any other art field, film specifically gravitates sometimes towards people who are loud talking dicks, and yeah, that was just one of the cases here. So,
well, and I've gotten used to it, or when I was a teenager, like into my early 20s, I used to rely heavily on like what people.
Sorry, when I was a teenager in my early 20s.
I know when she was talking about seeing Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy when she was like 10, I was like, "Oh, my friend Hamza and I went to see that sophomore year of college, and we were really excited."
But I still felt like a teenager in my early 20s too.
Well, what I meant
Except
is,
for energy level, I still feel like a teenager today.
I think. I meant like in my teens into my early 20s. That's what I meant to say.
I see.
Your teen winties.
My teen winties. Now, so I used to rely very heavily on like what people said was like good content or like good music or what have you. And lately I've been a little bit more judicious with the type of content that I consume. I just kind of try something regardless of what other people say it is like. So like, for example, I've had this come across with like book recommendations, and I kept seeing all over Book Talk people talking about like The Midnight Library, and they're saying how good it was, and I went to go read it and I was like, this is terrible, and I stopped reading it. But like for the longest time, if I started a book, even if I didn't like it, I would finish it because I'd be like, well, I started it, so I have to finish it. So I'm slowly beginning to not torture myself in that way anymore.
Oh yeah.
And that's a lesson that you do have to learn. I feel that way because literally in the past year, I've been like, oh, I can leave places.
Right?
Like if I go out,
Exactly.
I don't have to stay the entire time. I don't.
Yeah.
Nobody's expecting that. In fact, it's probably annoying. Like if then people are just lingering.
That's a good mantra, actually. Like, I don't have to stay here. I have a choice.
Technically, you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I mean, if we're thinking now, I know that like, of course, you hear that and you're like, well, I have to do some things. It's like, well, yes, technically, but I mean, you could just live in a cave by yourself for the rest of your life.
Playing Zelda on the Switch.
That's right. You don't have to. Well,
we have to shoehorn Zelda into every episode at least once.
Well, I mean, I don't know how I would then charge my Switch if I was living in a cave and not doing anything to be responsible to myself. But I mean, but the point...
You'd be living Zelda.
Yeah, real life
find
Zelda.
a sword.
Get your flint and your fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get a stick, tie a rock to it. Now it's my rock hammer.
Make a green cape. I don't have a lot of Zelda references to pull from here.
There are a lot of capes in Zelda for
I guess
practical
I'm
purposes.
talking about...
No
I'm
capes.
talking about Link because it's not. I'm picturing Link. He has the green cape.
It's such a weird series because
It's like a hood. No. Well, he has...
Well, yeah, like cape, like
cap.
the way that you would call Little
Yeah.
Red Riding Hood. Well, I guess you
Yeah.
call that a hood.
Hold on a second.
Little Red Riding Cape.
No, I like that
the
better.
story I always was told.
Yeah, it was we couldn't afford, the title story, so we had to go for the store brand.
The Asylum Films version.
Yeah. It was called Small Jogging Cape.
Speaking, I wanted to go back to something too, because what you had talked about, like trying to finish books and deciding not to with Midnight Library, and also art contests, reminded me. I don't know why I totally forgot this, but my first job when I was in LA was actually a script reader for like a small company in Pasadena. And I like went in with the gusto that a 26-year-old like pretentious film student was like, I'm going to read everyone's script, because they had a rule that you could read 10 to 15 pages, and if it didn't grab you, like, oh, you can just throw it in the pile. I'm like, no, they spent time writing these scripts, and I'm going to read all of them.
Yeah, that's probably how I would approach that as well, because I'm a person that's just like, you told me that here's the bare minimum I have to do. I'm contractually obligated by being me to do the whole thing.
Yeah. So the one that finally I met my match with was a 150-page script that was nothing but like hard sci-fi jargon, and 25 pages into it, like they were underneath the Vatican talking about all these molecule particles that created God, and I'm like, I have no idea what the fuck is going on here. And so that was the first one that broke the seal. But I read some pretty interesting scripts over those years. I think my favorite one was there was a script that somebody submitted from India, which was clearly put through an auto-translate. And the translate was bad enough already, but for some reason the auto-translate translated every period in the script into an ellipses. So technically the script was just one sentence long.
Oh my God. I love that.
And it was about a seeing eye dog who bit somebody who attacked his master and was put on trial.
Oh my
the
gosh.
dog was put on the witness stand.
Why did you
in
do
the
it?
script.
Tell me in your own words.
It was...
I'm a good boy.
I wish the dog had said that. But just to put into context what people will put in scripts because they don't realize it's not good. Like the dog was on the witness stand, and the scene in question, they asked the dog questions. He did not respond, and they used that against him.
Well, yeah, it's guilt by omission, you know?
Because
Well, and, you know, that just is just a flagrant abuse of the legal system because that dog shouldn't have had to testify against him or herself.
But he couldn't invoke the Fifth Amendment because he couldn't talk.
Well, also, he couldn't be under oath either. I mean, if we think about it, you know. I actually think that was a smart legal move on behalf of the dog because...
Put your paw on the ASPCA manual and repeat after me.
Shit, I was thinking of something that was funny and I can't remember now. It's fine.
It happens. Yeah, I guess we could go back to Fringe a little bit too, because I did want to talk about our project for Fringe, which I think is going to be very cool.
Yes, and yours is a Vidjam thing.
Yeah, because Sam Melville had this idea, and I think we're going to have her on next week to talk about this as well.
Cool.
Depending on her schedule. But yeah, she had this idea where like we all would put movies together and like shoot our own thing, but then she would like intertwine them into an actual narrative. And I haven't watched the whole thing because I kind of want to be surprised, but it looks pretty good. I'm not going to lie. And we had 5 different filmmakers submit. We all had at least 2 intertwining scenes, but I think some of us had more than that. So like, for instance, Ryan Lockman ended up being in all 5 movies for that. Very well traveled. Yeah, I'm excited for that. That's going to be Friday at, I think, 8 o'clock at the Midtown Cinema, and then Saturday, at 4:30, I want to say, which I'll only be there for the Friday screening, but it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, who are the other filmmakers?
So it was myself, Sam Miller did one, Sam Melville did one, then John Stoltzfus, and I think Wallace McKelvey was the other one.
Wallace.
Yeah. Wallace did, again, I haven't watched all of them because... wouldn't be surprised, but Wallace did this funky, like, sort of black and white movie theater type of movie, which I think is going to play very well. So it's going to be fun because everybody, like all 5, especially putting like all of us together, we all have different sensibilities as filmmakers too. So it's going to be kind of all over the place, and I love it.
That sounds neat. I'll be checking that out
Yeah.
one time. Speaking of Vidjam, and then I'm going to throw back.
Oh, that's right, because you're in the last Vidjam. I forgot about that.
What?
No, you're in the one that's you were in Jerry's for this upcoming one.
Yes, and as I said on the last podcast, I am not an unapologetic person. I have a lot of apologies.
It's one of my favorite quotes you've ever uttered, and there's a lot of good Liz quotes.
So I have an apology for you, Cal. Because and then I like referenced it, and then maybe you can let me know if this is.
Welcome to apology time. Apology time.
So, yes, thank you. I
Checks
didn't
notes.
even want
Apologize.
Yeah, I know.
This is kind of like the part in Blue's Clues where they answer the mail.
I did right.
You just got. I see that.
I meant it. That was supposed to be a joke, but Liz actually has apologized on her pad. No.
Apology.
You just got an apology. I wonder who it's from.
Oh, we should sing an apology song.
I just
Damn it,
did.
where's Ryan?
Shannon's been singing
I've been
many
singing this
apology
entire
songs.
fucking time.
She's been jazzing up an apology song.
Apologize.
So in April.
Oh gosh, this is a retroactive apology.
Yeah.
Bless me,
well,
Father, for I have sinned.
It's the whole process. In April, Hal messaged and asked about me possibly participating in a Vidjam of his this year. And I went back in advance of the podcast and was like, because...
I totally forgot about this, by the way.
So I think this was maybe a great response or a shitty response. Y'all can be the judge. But I said that I appreciated him thinking of me and asking, and then I said, not gonna lie. And that's, great off the bat. Honesty.
Yeah.
Generally don't think about Vidjams till they're basically happening, but at that time, generally go with whoever asks first if I'm available. Does all those words that are just like umbrella statements of like, I don't commit to things in the future.
Totally fair.
And I said more stuff about like my plans at the time. And I have Fringe on the horizon in July, so I don't know how much extra bandwidth I'll have for spring and summer. I refuse to even think about fall right now. Haha. Sorry, not sorry. But we'll happily revisit this conversation with you then, if reminded and it pans out. So I had a lot of caveats and like...
if it makes
Dang, I want to have a lawyer look at that response and be like, all right, where's the loophole here?
If it makes you feel any better, like as Shannon can attest to, that's basically what we did with our Vidjam. Because like the collaborative project, this was a problem with this most recent Vidjam because we only got 6 movies. And part of it was like Wallace, John Stoltzfus, Lily, and there's another regular team did not do them because we were burnt out from the collaborative project because that was like a month and a half-ish worth of work. And I only decided like the Thursday before, I was like, I'm worried there's not going to be enough numbers. I have the weekend off. I think I can swing this if it's easy. And then it ended up being stupid complicated. But
oh, no.
But basically, I texted Shannon at like 8 p.m. on Thursday being like, you want to do a Vidjam? She was like, sure. So
yeah, and I was on crutches. Yeah, fun.
I've shown the cut to a couple of people and for instance, Lauren will not watch the movie because I told her what your character goes through. Oh. And she's like Shannon has a recurring dream that her dog is being stolen, essentially. And she's chasing after the guy stealing him and can never catch up to him.
Because I'm on crutches.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And Lauren was like, that's too traumatic. I don't want to see that. I'm like, yeah, totally fair.
I was watching it back and I was like, dang, my despair looks pretty good. I was like, oh shit, that came out real good on camera.
There's a lot like trigger warning
honest.
for ours because like the group discussion for this particular one turned in a way where I think Katrina and Susan were both like, yeah, let's lean heavily into the trauma aspect of this whole thing. And I'm like, okay, I'll go along with you.
I think we all kind of agreed. We were like, we want to do something a little more serious, something a little more like not darker, but I guess serious was the right term to use from the start of this sentence.
Yeah. I almost felt bad for, like, I don't know if you were still around at this point, but like when we were shooting Susan's like scene, she got so into it that I thought that we broke her for a second.
I heard her from the fucking living room and I thought she was like actually sick.
Yeah.
I was worried for her, but I couldn't do anything because I was on crutches. So I was like, well, I guess I'm just going to sit here and let Susan die, I suppose.
I was like I was holding the camera. I cut actually a little early because I was like, Susan, are you okay? Because she was like sobbing heavily after her particular scene. It's just, no, I got into the acting. I'm like, oh, thank fucking God. Yeah. I don't want to break anybody.
That's cool.
I've seen a little bit of yours again, Liz. Like I did.
How much?
So I asked Jerry.
No spoilers.
No spoiler. Well, I asked everybody beforehand because I did the trailer, and I was like, "Is there anything in particular you want in there?" And Jerry had very specific parameters as to what he wanted in the trailer, which basically left 2 shots. So I haven't really watched anything beyond those 2 shots because I want to be surprised. But it looks pretty good from what I've seen. So.
Yeah. Well, and what happened was then, so I said all that, really covering all my bases as a human being. And then, I did this with Jerry Stevens, who Jerry just regularly has like little film projects that he will ask me for. And there's been something that he's been talking about for months and months that hasn't yet to happen. And when he did when he texted me, he did say Vidjam, but I didn't read Vidjam. I just was like, oh, he's trying to film this thing. Finally, I could do that because I have a favor I want from Jerry. And so I was like, I will do this if you will do me a favor in anticipation of Fringe, which it has not happened yet. I need to get on that. We'll see. But so I agree. And then he's like, okay, can I call you in a little bit, like, to like talk about stuff? And all of this is very much Vidjam activity, like on a Friday night, freaking out, rapid fire. I want to talk to you. But it was only when he called me and he was talking and he was like, Vidjam. And I was like, oh, it's Vidjam. Yeah. And I was like, you talked to Hal. But I think I covered my bases, and Jerry reached out to me first when it was happening.
I think you're good because, like I said, I kind of forgot that too, and it snuck up on everybody because I don't think in our board chat it was properly expressed that that's when the 48 hour was happening. So, like, I was talking with Sam Melville about something with the collaborative project, and then I was like, oh shit, this weekend is the 48 hour film festival. Do I have the energy to do it? She answered no because she has so much other stuff going on. I answered maybe and then decided at the last second. But, we'll figure out something for some other time. It's all good. Yeah. I had a lot of, like, I'm not going to lie, on the level of apologies, too, I'll offer an apology to some people because at least one person outside the hit on Friday night was like, Hal, why didn't you ask me to be part of your Vidjam for this time around? I'm like, oh, I literally just sort of put it together at the last second. I'm so sorry. And also, this was sort of a weird thing too, but I don't know if you know this, but Ilhan and Vanessa live right next door to me.
I did know that. In the city? Do you live in the city?
No, I actually bought a house in like my parents' neighborhood, like about half a mile from their place. And Ilhan and Vanessa just happened to be my next door neighbors when I bought the house.
Aww,
and
they're good neighbors.
Ilhan wandered over while we were having like our talk before we started shooting. And I was like, oh, fuck, I didn't ask him or Vanessa to be part of this. And I'm like, oh, is this going to reflect poorly? Is my neighbor grade going to go down? So I apologize to like...
everyone.
Yeah, to everyone.
Well, Vanessa, I know, is somebody who's very, very busy. But Ilhan probably could have done it. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what his schedule's like either. But.
Vanessa has a big project for Fringe, too, that I've seen posted around all over the place.
Yeah, Cosmic Trash is due. They've expanded their usual numbers. They're going to be doing a show. It's going to be cool. They did a dope photo shoot at the hit recently.
Yeah, they did.
So check out those. All the pictures are on the hbgfringe.com, or like follow the performers themselves. Yeah,
this is the Fringe episode of Depression Vacation, where we're just talking about...
where we just keep occasionally coming back to the topic of Fringe.
Well, I love the idea of like a Fringe festival like being a big thing in Harrisburg, because it is like sort of a catch-all for any kind of art that you might want to do that wouldn't fit into, say, a film festival or even an improv festival or something like that. Like, you can do like anything that's arty. In fact, this is an argument I get in with my mother a lot, because she's like a traditional artist, was a curator, and she will rail all the time about how certain things aren't art. And I'm kind of like, well, Mom, art really just means provoking an emotional response within you. So somebody can look at something, and if they have an emotional response, that's art. And she's like, nope, not art.
People debate about what art is. I am in the same camp as you, I believe. Like, I'm just like, if it makes you feel or think, so like anything really can.
I think intention has a lot to do with it too. If the creator set out to create what they presume to be art, then it's art,
Yeah.
Who's to say?
I remember I had this conversation with somebody in college when I was a lot more rigid-minded and also of the same mind that that's not art. And we had a debate because somebody in Long Island had just put on a concert which was nothing but silence. Like, that was the whole thing. And I'm like, that's not art. That's just separating you from your money. And my friend Alex was like, no, you don't understand. The idea is to like sit in silence and just like be in an atmosphere where nothing is going on to provoke an emotional response. And stupid 18-year-old Hal didn't quite get that. I still don't know if I would classify a silent concert as art, but I could see what the point was, at least, like years later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like I definitely think there's different levels of art. And I kind of see, I guess we would consider that to be performative art or something like that, where you're just kind of trying to make a point, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the point of art in general, is making some sort of a point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But as we were talking about with the reading and everything, like, we can agree that it's art, but you don't have to like it.
Right,
like,
no,
that's
true.
also like...
Yeah, that's a good point, too.
Yeah. Well, and it's like fan fiction is art, I guess. You know?
I mean...
Speaking of fan fiction, is there going to be an erotic fan fiction reading at the Fringe Festival?
Not that I am aware of at present, but check out Open Stage periodically for those, because they do have them occasionally.
That was one of my favorite. Like, I didn't realize it was back until I went to go see Into the Woods at Open Stage, and the bartender, she told me that, like, oh yeah, they still do erotic fan fiction here. You should check it out sometime. Like, I haven't seen anybody post about it in forever, so I didn't know it was a thing.
I don't know what the current schedule for it is. I know... Yeah, I don't know.
So do you want to explain what erotic fan fiction live is?
Did the
microphone
ultrasound show my stomach gurgle?
I definitely heard that on.
For sure.
Oh no, cut it out.
Nope.
There is no edit possible.
The production value of this thing is what it is.
We tried to raise the production value the last time you were on by editing songs, but then
we got yelled at.
Yeah, Spotify yelled at us for just for Elton John and Taylor Swift. No one else. Nobody cared about Hal's weird songs.
Okay, well then just play some Taylor Swift in lieu of my tummy gurgling.
Trouble, yeah, trouble, yeah.
Yeah, that was
that was my stomach going.
Welcome to the Eras tour, everyone.
Hi. That was.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, you might have to cut that part. I don't know.
No,
if I
I love it.
No, it's all in.
I loved every
The
part
only
of that.
time we had to splice something together was, I think it was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I accidentally hit a space bar right about this point, and like I was like, oh fuck, did I just ruin the podcast? And the answer is no. Just had to put the two things together.
We had to go like that.
You heard that sound came up on the podcast too.
Era.
Just listen, chat. Chat.
Sometimes I hear myself breathing loudly if I'm too close to the microphone on our own podcast. So body sounds are something that just happens.
They just happen.
No, I've been.
Guess what? Our bodies make sounds. It's a thing.
Everyone squishes. It's okay.
Everyone squishes. I like that. I'm putting it on a t-shirt.
Everyone squishes.
Yeah. What?
I don't know. This conversation has devolved.
You have more notes there. I see
I
them.
do. I look at them. Look at all these notes. I mentioned
They're
the
really
buttons.
If only
I
Wallace could have brought
mentioned
his
my show.
notes on pad instead of computer.
I know. What the heck, Wallace?
Oh, I'm an old-fashioned
De-evolve,
gal.
Wallace.
But you know, your old-fashionedness is better because it does not cause radio feedback, which Wallace's computer did.
Oh, well, I am using my phone.
I don't hear
not
anything.
Bugging anything,
Yeah.
so it's good. It's real good.
Okay.
yawn. Oh, goodness.
Go ahead and yawn.
I'm very
They
tired.
should have a yawn button.
Yeah, unfortunately, we only have a cough button, so any other noises you will hear.
Hey, I have a cough and a talkback button,
Oh,
which I'm
shit.
not sure what the talkback button does, because I can just talk back on my own if I want to. I don't need a button to tell me to do
It
that.
summons a 14-year-old avatar that embodies your. I tried.
Oh, there was one more thing I wanted to mention with Vidjam too. Was I wanted to shout out Andrew Glessner is actually going to be a judge for this one.
Andrew Glessner.
What?
And he was by far the most on top of the judges because I asked him like at an open mic maybe 3 weeks ago if he'd be interested in doing it because he's done it once before and he was like, yeah, I'd love to do it. I sent him his rubric and he was done in like 3 hours. Like all my scores are submitted. Like holy fuck, man! Like I have to chase down literally everybody else to get their scores in by like.
So they've
screening
already
time.
been judged when the Vidjam happens. Having participated in many, I'm learning something.
Yeah,
about
so the
Vidjam.
way this works out, because I was actually a judge for the very first Vidjam ever, because I wouldn't have known it existed otherwise, and because of my funky work schedule, I wasn't able to attend the screening, and so Sam like sent me just a screener and like a rubric to fill out at that point. But a lot of our judges have trouble making the screenings these days because they're all super big. Like Andrew's going to be out of the country actually for the screening. And so Sam Miller puts together these little Excel documents that have a link. Everyone has a link to the movie. You just click on it, you submit your scores, and then there's a master sheet that somebody will look at to determine the winners. The catch, though, is whoever looks at the scores to determine the winners by rule has to be disqualified from the competition, and that's usually been Sam Miller. So Sam, a lot of the time, does not get to actually participate in the competition because he has to tally votes. So that's how the judging process works for that.
Okay.
And we usually have 4, but that's usually because somebody does not finish their scores. So it's happened every single Vidjam that I can remember.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, ask me anything about how Vidjam works. I'll tell you for transparency's sake.
Well, I don't have any other questions. At this point, I have another apology, which is...
Oh, give us another apology.
Sorry.
I'm sorry that I have another apology.
Sorry, I did not want to host the event this year.
Oh, that's fine. Well...
it feels weird if I'm in one.
To host it.
Yeah.
I've done it.
Shannon did it last August. Gary did it the one before that. I feel like the hosts have been in a lot of the Vidjams. Gary was in my other one that he hosted. Sam Melville hosted one that she was a director in, too. So,
Well, I'm not going to say that any of the above mentioned people are not principled, but it's just I have rules.
That's
for
fair.
me
okay.
as a person.
No, I can see where you're coming from on that for sure.
I still have not found a host yet, by the way. Like, I'm starting to run out of people to ask at this point. And I'm like, am I going to have to host this thing? I really don't want to have myself and my body out there, like, in full view of everyone. I want to just tuck into the back.
I have a name for you of somebody I was talking to about it that doesn't have the same rules as me and would be willing to host, I believe.
Great. We won't put them on blast on the podcast, but you can tell me, like, afterwards.
I will.
Yeah.
I would very much enjoy getting people to...
Yeah.
Usually I don't have a problem. Like, usually it's people, like, knocking down my door being like, hey, can I host one of these? Like, because last year we had Gary, Shannon, and Damien got to host the Halloween one, which Damien was fantastic, too.
Yes. I am happy that you have had Damien do stuff. That's not the person I was going to say, but also you could ask him again. He's great.
Damien actually lives, like, I didn't know this until, like, did you ever do any of the open mics that were, like, people's backyards during the pandemic?
No.
Oh,
Nobody invited me.
Nobody invited you. What?
Well, I wasn't really doing stand-up at that time, so
Yeah.
that's fair. I was pandering
okay, I
for
didn't do any of them
sympathy.
either.
That's kind of how Ron Kane ended up, like, booking so many shows. Shannon, he was kind of the principal person behind putting together all those, like, backyard open mics, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and basically just people would take turns hosting them. Like, Karen did a couple of them.
Yeah.
We did one in Damien's neighborhood, and Damien lives, like, 2 blocks away from me, and I didn't even realize. So,
Yeah, I remember during the pandemic, I didn't go to any of the backyard ones, but I did do a couple of the Zoom ones.
oh, that's where I first saw Ryan for the first time, was when you invited two crushes, and only one could be your bae.
Yep. They fought it out afterward. It was really cool. I was actually, you were saying like nothing was happening 3 years ago. It's like I was falling in love with Ryan 3 years ago.
Falling in love.
Yeah, this was around the time where we met and like started dating and stuff. So I keep seeing all these little memories on Facebook, and it's very cute.
Aww.
Yeah.
It's funny because I see memories on Facebook with a person I was falling in love with at that time, and they bring me the opposite reaction.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
But actually, yeah, Ryan's first impression of me was telling a joke about my vagina, actually, now that I think about it.
That's how he was a keep.
That's good.
I remember I was actually thinking about this the last time we were talking about the first time meeting Ryan, because the first time I met him was like that shoot we did in my backyard with Ninja at like 2 a.m. And I remember, like, I'd seen Ryan pop up and not say anything on some of these Zooms, and I'm like, man, he's a really good-looking guy. Go Shannon.
Right?
And then I was surprised when he was such a weirdo on set, like all the laughing and everything. And I was like, I love this guy.
Right?
Yeah.
No, I know.
Because usually the super good-looking people don't have to be weirdos.
Yeah.
So.
No, but it's like a little bonus. It's really neat.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed Ryan's presence. I wish he wasn't, boiling to death in your car right now.
The AC is on. Ryan is fine.
I was gonna say this is my meeting of Ryan, though I technically did not see him because he was lying in the back seat. But I just an awareness that a human is in a car. That's my meeting Ryan story.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
speaking
great.
of good-looking,
Well,
like
we're
weird
sharing.
people, something you and I had discussed beforehand,
Wait,
I'd forgotten about.
what was that segue? Speaking of
Good-looking weird people.
Oh, yes.
Because we had been talking about the Arnold Schwarzenegger documentary series too.
yes, Shannon, have you watched?
I haven't.
Arnold.
I
It's
just
so good.
Yeah, it's real. He is. he's a very, very flawed person in general, but like I have a different understanding and respect for him after watching that. Like specifically when he was talking about like when he was governor, like that he actually just listened to people, and that's why like he became a weird Republican advocate for abortion rights, for instance, and like environmental things. He was like, I just listened to people, and this seemed to make sense. And I'm like, I really respect that, because literally nobody in politics acts that way.
Yeah, I think that like a lot of the scandals and the, no human is without, their flaws and things like that. I do think that like way that he addressed some of those things, like now obviously with like the benefit of years of time to reflect on it and everything. Yeah. But I think that he showed growth as a person and a real awareness of like what had the consequences of his actions, and like so about that. But with the politics, I don't remember which of the like other people in the documentary said it, but they were like, obviously everybody, like, we love an outsider. We want, like, we've been conditioned to hate politicians, really,
especially outsiders after the last 6 years. But
yeah, well, and so like that, like the appeal of like this outsider, but like they just described that he like approached office with joy, which is something that like
they said that I remember.
Yeah, and I was like, that's true. Like like it. Of course, it takes like a man to come over from Austria to be like, oh, I'm happy to do this, and like and listen to people, like you were saying, and like do all those interesting.
Well,
it was.
That's been my experience, like when I have talked to people from like other countries, in the sense that like politicians, like the best ones, are the ones that see it for what it is, which is a public service.
Yeah.
And that's like when I was in England, people like approach things like police officers. They kind of treated their police officers like shit, and I was like, ooh. And so, like, I'm anxious around police officers all the time. So when, like, our tour guide was like, yeah, they're stupid. They're, like, really ill, like, prepared for things and just, like, kind of a nuisance. I was like, what? And she was like, we pay their salaries. They're literally like the garbage man. I was like, oh, okay. And
there's not as much propaganda, I guess, in England.
Yeah, no, because they're just, like, they kind of just treat their cops kind of like we treat our teachers, almost, where they're just like, you're just a public service worker, like you're not a hero or anything, That's
you a Bobby, right?
Yeah.
I think called Bobbies.
The Bobbies.
So, I mean, I think that's interesting, and I get what you're saying is like, there should be a feeling from politicians of like, hey, I'm doing a good thing. I'm doing like almost a necessary evil of like somebody's gotta run the place, and like if you don't approach that with the joy of serving others, like I don't think that's probably the right line of work for you.
Yeah, he was in a unique position because there was like and this will shock you, like so much naivete with him when he took that job, just because he hadn't had to deal with the political process. But he was saying something else. He was saying in the documentary too was like, oh yeah, there were only 2 months involved with the campaign process, which is more how it happens in Europe. So like you don't have 2 years to grow incredibly resentful from every single person going through a primary. You just kind of like campaign, you state your mission, and you let the people decide. I'm like, yeah, because too much like in this country, like the campaign cycle has become entertainment, which is why the primary cycle starts 2 years before the actual election. It's like the playoffs, and they keep like beating each other until they get to the Super Bowl, which is the November election, when the Republican champion takes on the Democrat champion.
Like a Super Smash Brothers tournament.
Yeah, it'd be a better way to do things. Something else we had talked about too with the Schwarzenegger documentary, which is something like even before seeing it, I remember I read like a book or an article about him, where because he did comedy so well during his movie career for somebody who does not look like a comedian, and they said that he was actually like a super goofy kid growing up, and their dad was like a former like Nazi police chief sympathizer and was not a good person, and he essentially like he not just like tried to beat the goofiness out of Arnold, but targeted him because he was like a funny and goofy kid. And I had read too that his brother had died in a drunk driving accident because like he couldn't take the abuse that their dad gave them. And they talk about that a little bit in the documentary, but I identified with that a little bit because my weirdness has been always something that's been tried to not beat out of me, but sort of like wean me off of. And I don't know. It's fun being weird. I prefer being weird.
Yeah. That's good stuff.
It can be exhausting for you and the people around you sometimes, but I prefer it to just the default.
Yeah. And that's why you'll be right at home at Harrisburg Fringe, where the
Fringe.
motto is, do something weird.
I know.
There we go, bringing it all together.
Yeah.
You got it.
I forget
Look at that.
I forget who was doing these, but like when I first moved back to Harrisburg, somebody was selling like Make Harrisburg Weird shirts. And
That
I
was
never
Sunday Best.
That was Sunday
variety
Best.
show. Yep.
I never got to get one anywhere, but I always saw them around. I'm like, that's such a great shirt. I like that.
There may exist still some.
I'll find one on eBay. Make Harrisburg Weird shirt. Hal, you
They're
realize
probably
that
a hot commodity now. I have one. I need to cut it because I was a different size. But
yeah. So Liz, do you have anything besides the Harrisburg Fringe Festival? Do you have anything coming up that you want to plug? Any improv, any stand up or anything?
when is this gonna be listened to?
Tomorrow. Yeah, we usually release around Monday at noon.
Oh,
so.
okay. Well then, hello, listeners at Monday at noon.
Monday best.
Yeah, they all of our listeners just like wait at 11:59, and then like as soon as like they smash that button.
I know
That's what
you're
they do.
joking, but there have been some people who have been like, there have been days where like, because I usually edit this at the office and post it, and if I'm working a late day, like 2:30 or 4:30, there are occasionally days where I won't post it till then, and I'll get like a text from somebody being like, "Hal, where the hell's the podcast?" I'm like, "Really? You care this much? We don't care this much."
That's so
Okay.
sweet. No, it's okay. You can kick me.
I didn't kick her hard.
No, it wasn't very hard.
and it was not the injured foot.
It was
just
mostly
for
my
the
feelings.
record.
Somebody
No.
get the bobbies.
I have a witness. The mattress. I did.
Could you state your name, please, for the court? My name is Serta E. Mattress.
We love that. Plug in away. Plug in.
And speaking of plugging, right? Is
Yeah.
that what you said?
Plug away, plug away.
This Wednesday, June 21st.
That's my birthday.
Woo.
Hey, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Early birthday, hey. Your birthday's the first day of summer. Do you have it on the solstice a lot?
Yeah, usually it's the first day of summer.
It's funny. My dad is
Cool.
the exact opposite. He's December 21st, so
Nice.
it's the darkest day of the year every year.
That's funny to me.
We'll unpack that in another
We've
episode.
my family has made that joke several times because my dad is kind of a Debbie Downer. In fact, I don't know if Liz that the schools on the West Shore made you do this, but the Catholic schools on the East Shore made us define 10 terms every week from the Dictionary of Cultural Literacy, so that we would learn like what 2 peas in a pod meant, for instance. And one year, wet blanket was the term that we had to describe. And the sentence that they used in the dictionary to describe what a wet blanket was: everybody was having a fun time at the party until Harold started being a wet blanket. And my mom always thought that was the funniest thing because that is my dad's personality. It's like, even the Dictionary of Cultural Literacy knows that you're a buzzkill.
That's funny.
Oh, that is hilarious. I did think to myself when you mentioned that fact and what I have heard of your father, I was like, that tracks.
Yes,
So.
he is he's a person, as we all are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Occasionally, he'll give me like terrible stand-up advice or terrible improv advice, and I always find that so amusing. Like,
Wednesday, June 21st. Sorry.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Wednesday, June 21st, at the Harrisburg Comedy Zone in New Cumberland, off of Boomerang's Bar and Grill, is the last ever shit in a hat.
I was so
know.
sad to see this is the last
Shit
one
in
of
a
these.
hat.
Yeah.
Rip shit in a hat.
Yeah, it does make me sad. I've done very few, but I'm
They're
sad.
fun.
I only did one, and I've always been meaning to like ask Mike and Andrew to get back on the bill, but also my stand-up schedule has been so inconsistent. I'm like, I don't deserve this. I need to do more before I can get on there, seeing people who do even less stand-up than me regularly get on. But I was so sad to see that, like, did Mike tell you why it's ending at all? Or
Well, the other month that I went, not last month, but the month before, whatever that was, you do the month math. It was pretty awful. Like, just not great at all.
no.
Yeah, and I think that might have, taken the wind out of Mike's sails a little bit. I can't speak for him,
Yeah.
but I think it was sort of frustration and
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
it is something like
Maybe it'll be back in the future. 'Cause I love it as an idea.
I think it's great.
So
I feel like us improv people, like you, me, Aaron Scholl, Drew. What other improv people do stand up? Like that's right up our alley. Kind of is just like.
And then I think there's more stand up heads that are great at it too. Pat.
Pat, yeah.
It's
Pat
funny.
George, Jared
Macaulay.
Yeah, I learned recently that the way I was
I thought it was Mikhail
pronouncing
when I
his
first
name.
met him.
Yep, and I definitely said that to his face, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I've known you for years, and I didn't know how to say your name."
Yeah, I've
He's
done it
great
a couple
and
of
done 'em.
times. I enjoy it every time I've gotten to do it. So
Yeah, because I don't want to do the roast battles because that's not like what I have fun doing ever. So like Shit in a Hat was kind of like the one like show that I always really wanted to get on and do more. So, but I did it once exactly a year ago.
Yeah, roasts. I have done a couple roasts in my day, and this is my experience with roasts has been I am too mean because I don't like making up stuff. Like I'm gonna joke about the truth and like be
I'm
honest.
the same way.
And
Yeah.
This is why I
so
don't want to be in a roast battle.
Yeah,
I don't want to
I'm-
hear the truth about me.
I'm too mean, and then I also just find jokes about me generally uninspired, which is such
That's
it's
a
kind of a
shocker.
bitch thing to say, but like
No,
there's
I
just some
agree.
easy ones they go for, especially for like just like being a woman. And it's been a really long time since I participated in a roast, but it's like, and with me, it's like, look, she's got red hair.
yeah, no, I agree. I think I've done 3 roast battles now, and I've yet to experience like a joke that really cut deep. Because I wanted like somebody to find something about me, so that's hilarious.
Read me like a book.
It's
Read
interesting
me.
you say that, Shannon, because I have a friend who was against you in one of the stand-up battles that he was convinced you hated him for a while because he thought he made a joke that cut too deep.
Who's
and I'm
that?
like, I don't think that this. I'll tell you afterwards,
Ow.
but I'm not going to put people on blast on this. But
I would.
Push the cough button and say it.
No, don't.
Coffin McCofferson. But that was exactly my response. Is like, I know Shannon pretty well, and I don't think you said anything that she hasn't probably thought a million times over herself and is not
Yeah,
comfortable
I'm my
with.
own worst critic, to be honest.
Yeah.
We all are.
And you're funnier at like you're like, excuse me, I've been making fun of myself every day of my life.
Yeah.
You
They're
are gonna have
hilarious.
to try harder to do
Yeah.
better than
Yeah.
me at that.
I've always said when I go to do the roast battle, like when I'm trash talking, I'll be like, what are you going to say about me? That I'm too nice? That I'm too pretty? Like, I don't know what you're going to say that like is going to hurt me because you got nothing on me. And
I always think about that one stand-up bit that you did, like when I first started seeing you doing stand-up about like the Tinder date that called you weird face or something.
goofy faced cunt.
Yeah, I was like, well, that was a really mean thing to say, but also I know women get mean things on dating apps all the time. But,
Yeah.
But to call you goofy faced was just weird, I think.
Yeah, I was like, well, I mean, that's still one of my favorite little roasts for me. Goofy faced cunt.
That should be a song.
Yeah.
That's a T-shirt.
I know.
I
think so.
want to be called a goofy face cunt. I'm
Yeah.
a little jealous.
I
of
might
that.
just like own it and make it like my Instagram handle or something.
We'll
I
add
don't
it to the
know.
list of T-shirts for Depression
I
Vacation
know.
Cup
We have
Podcast.
so many really good quips.
Be a
but-
goofy faced
You
C
can,
word.
Make one for your backseat boyfriend, fiance, that says "I'm with goofy face cunt" and an
yes.
arrow.
Oh my
And
god.
it could be even like instead of an arrow, it could be the shocker symbol, like
my
that way.
God.
I'm with
Yeah.
goofy face cunt.
I love that. You're hired as our like
Merch designer.
merch designer. Yeah.
Have you not heard
Finally.
Liz? She's too in demand with so many other
I know.
things.
I know.
She can't even respond
And
to a
I'm a-
Vidjam invitation.
Yeah, you don't want to deal with how long-winded my excuses are. So not doing.
And then
stuff.
long-winded apologies afterwards, which are sweet, but I've only got so many hours in the day.
Yeah.
But anyway, what
So that's
do you
going
want to
on.
hear any more things about? Let me see what notes I haven't really actually talked about my show.
How much
you guys
time do we
haven't
have?
really asked
I mean,
about
we're
it.
at like an hour and 13 minutes.
Okay, well,
I have
this
to
won't
be
be
at
more
work
than
in
7.
like, I don't know, half an hour. So I've got
Oh.
time.
Well, so I'm just gonna say, I just want to say something about me is when I do a performance piece, which will be a Liz Alphabet. I try to every time do something that I've never done before. So if you come
Nice.
to one of my shows, you're pretty much guaranteed to see me do something they've never done before. It's important to step outside of your comfort zone
Go Liz.
as an artist. So know that will happen. What is it, you might ask? Well, the official definition, which is in my only I'm just reading from my Instagram, but it's a sophomore solo show written, directed, and performed by me. 2 performances at Narcisse Theater during Harrisburg's annual Fringe. It is an interactive experiment in performative vulnerability, featuring elements of literally everything. And I can say that with confidence.
Wow.
I don't say much with confidence.
Could fool me.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely go out to the. This is at 6:15 on the 7th. You said
6:50 p.m.
I thought
Sounds
that
literal. I don't. Oh. Yeah, you're not gonna be able to go to that one with your thing at 8.
I think how long is your show gonna be?
An hour.
I'm gonna try really hard to try to fudge both of them together because I really want to see this, and I also really want to go to the Narcisse Theater and see that whole space on Chestnut Street. You said it's at, or
yes, on Chestnut Street.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would encourage everybody to look up Narcisse Theater too, because they've been doing some quality work in the background without a permanent location for years, and it's really cool that they just built a theater, and it's
and if you're curious about it, and the founder Frank Henley tomorrow evening, you are listening to this at noon, so you can go to this too.
Today.
In Strawberry Square, Harrisburg's Black News Beat is doing a special episode in Strawberry Square. Frank Henley is going to be one of the guests, as well as Juan Dixon.
Love Juan.
Talking about, they just did at Narcisse last week, they had a Juneteenth sort of celebration, art performance thing that I was not able to make it to, but from everything I saw, it was a wildly successful event, and so you'll get to hear them talk about that and more things that they have going on. So that's I'm not involved in that.
Juan was actually in our last Vidjam too, which was the first. I've shot movies with him where he was the director, but it was the first time I worked with him as an actor, and he was so good. I really loved working with Juan, and he had this cool idea, all these because he's a filmmaker too, and so he had all these ideas for shots. He wanted to do something he called the Blair Witch shot when he was running through the woods, which is where he just took the camera, had it pointed at his face, and would run while shooting in slow motion. And it ended up being one of the coolest shots in, not to toot my own horn, a movie full of pretty cool shots. So big fan of Juan Dixon.
Yay! So this one that will be premiering. Next Sunday, right?
Yeah, actually, so in 1 week. This is the last show we'll do before that because, as noted, our shows drop at Monday at noon. That's my only thing I have to plug this week is, everybody, please come out if you're listening to this. Hal is worried that since only 6 movies were submitted this time, that there could be an attendance issue. So it would be great to see lots of people come on out to see the Vidjam competition, of which Andrew Glessner is a judge of. And all of us are participants. We're all in movies for this go-around, too.
Yeah. It'll be a fun time. Get your tickets. I forget that you have to buy tickets for the
Yeah, we don't get free ones this time, so. Yep. What do you got coming up, Shannon?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Well, as of right now, I'm still doing The Addams Family. That's and Ryan's in it too. So that's July 21st through the 23rd.
Where is that? Sorry.
It's okay. The Cove Mountain Community Theater in Duncannon. So we'll be posting about that. As of right now, we're going to assume that I'll be able to be on stage and dance, but I'm 2 more weeks in this boot, and if things aren't better, I still might have to get surgery, so that kind of sucks. So at the very least, I'll be singing backstage because I'm one of 2 soprano ones.
Speaking of which, we have a user comment, by the way, from my friend Sean, who, is one of the only LA friends I have who listens to this podcast and does it regularly. But he texted me this week. He's like, Hal, you've talked about the fact that Shannon is in a boot and has a broken foot for 2 weeks, and you haven't told us why. And I'm like, I guess I just didn't care enough to ask somebody why they got injured.
Oh, sorry. See, I would have asked this, but I figured you'd covered it already.
Apparently we didn't.
So it's fucking stupid is why we haven't talked about it. I fell off a curb.
They're tough.
A missed curb stomp.
I was at work. I
love Liz's reaction as I just made a bad joke.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Curb stopping doesn't give me the idea of that doesn't give me any warm fuzzies, so that was just reacting to that as an action.
Yeah.
Just throw it back there.
I had a difficult conversation with a client, went outside to grab some fresh air, was on the phone with Ryan, went to step off the curb and just botched it. So
did you like roll your ankle?
I did roll my ankle, and it turns out that I have an accessory bone in my foot. That
women and their accessories, am I
right? And so when I fell, I disrupted the cartilage membrane that is in that area, and so I'm in this boot. They're hoping it'll just align itself, but if it doesn't, they might have to go in, remove the bone, and realign a ligament or some shit. So
that makes your disdain for cartilage membranes make sense.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sean, for asking this question and making all of us uncomfortable.
Yeah, thanks, Sean, for putting me on blast for falling off a fucking curb. I fell less than a foot off the ground, and I might have to get surgery. How fucking stupid is that?
Oh my god! So the concept of ankle rolling is one of those triggers that just. Every time I hear it, like, because if I roll my ankle, I always go directly to the ground regardless of where I'm at, because I got really hurt as a kid by rolling my ankle, so it's still like it's a big trigger thing for me. So hearing that you broke your foot and tore it,
yeah, it's horrible. Yeah, so thanks, Sean, for reminding me of my troubles. No, it's okay. It's fine. It's the Depression Vacation Podcast. That's what it's for.
So yeah, Liz, you have any final thoughts as our returning guest? Final apologies?
I think I've done an apologies for today.
Forever?
For now.
I was going to say, are you making a stand here and now on the podcast?
No, I mean, come see Ellis Alphabet. There will be apologies probably in that too.
It's not a Liz Curtis show if there isn't one.
Right? First and foremost, you have to apologize to the audience.
That's right.
You don't know what the hell they're going to see.
And lots of Fringe stuff too. Like, check out the Harrisburg Fringe Festival because it's gonna be fucking awesome.
Yeah, hbgfringe.com, HBG Fringe on the old Instagram. But yeah, the website has all your content warnings and things like that. There's so many great people and things happening there. I'm gonna mention some of them now. Dozen Rapid Succession, Same Each, Legs Akimbo, Choose Your Own Play.
Oh, I'm so mad I'm going to miss that.
Werewolf, Artist Cares, Cosmic Trash, Paul Hood is doing a little
Paul.
thing. I just wrote bathtubs. And you just go check it out. You
check out the
figure
bathtubs.
out what that means. 717 Arts is heavily involved in Fringe things, so I want to give them a shout out. There will be kid and family activity things.
Is the
probably some arts and crafts station of some kind. So just come on out and do something weird.
Is the Choose Your Adventure play kid friendly? Out of curiosity.
Yeah. I don't know. I assume so, though. Knowing the writer and everybody involved in it, I don't think. Because they've done these in the past, and they've always been like there is a kid in it playing you.
Yeah, because I remember I saw I guess it was 5 years ago that Hijack happened. At this point,
Jesus Christ.
I still have the program for that because I found it in my desk the other day when I was cleaning stuff up, and that was one of the most fun theater events I ever went to. Was Hijacked.
That was definitely one of the most fun theater experiences I had being in it. The audience reactions to things there's no comparison for it. It was so exhilarating and so fun. And it was the only time I've gotten to do a Swedish accent, which I insisted on. I was not told to, but I did.
I forgot you were one of the henchmen too, because what I always remember you as is like the guy in the woods in the flannel shirt. But I forgot that
Jason.
Everybody played multiple roles in that thing. So
I was played Jason. I was the Swedish hijacker, and I played Bob, who was a band kid also in the woods.
Maybe I'm thinking of Bob. No, you would know this better than me. The flannel shirt was Jason.
They were both really great. No, I've kind of always played men in shows, but that was somebody was originally cast in those roles, and they were no longer able to play them. So I lucked out and got to be in that, which I was completely lucking out because that was super, super fun. So yeah, check out what they're doing in an hour, and going to be a wild ride.
It's going to be.
I'm excited to. That's one of the ones I'm definitely going to be checking out when I can after.
Well, it seems like everybody has a lot of things to check out because there's so much happening in the next week. So, check out hbgfringe.com and all of the Instagram stuff. Check out vidjam.org for the screening on Sunday. And please come to make Hal happy. And yeah, that's been our hour-and-a-half episode this week.
Yay.
So for Depression Vacation, I've been Hal.
I've been Shannon.
And I'm Liz. I was also here.
I like how Liz is in the present tense and the rest of us were in the past tense. Like, oh, I've been Hal. I've been Shannon. Hey, I'm still Liz.
After this, I'm not quite sure I'll still be Shannon, so we'll tune in next time.
Yeah, tune in next time to find out if Shannon is still a person. Yeah, and have a great week.
You too.